Assalamualaikum everyone. Dr. Naza has shown you what the data shows about teacher policies and teacher-related outcomes. And she has shown how policies have at times failed to achieve their desired goals and have resulted in weak implementation and also weak policy design. I will talk about the results from our ethnographic study, which looks at the political economy factors involved in policy implementation as well as policy design. So education policy outcomes are shaped by the political economy factors surrounding the development and implementation. There are a number of stakeholders involved in policy design as well as policy implementation. And sometimes what happens is that the incentives of these stakeholders are misaligned. And because of these misaligned incentives, ineffective policy design and inadequate implementation results. In the education department, the main stakeholders are teachers, the education department officials, parents, and bureaucrats. We focus our study on the education department officials, teachers, and bureaucrats. As policy delivery mainly occurs at the district level education offices, we conducted our ethnographic study at these district level offices. We did our ethnographic study in 3 districts. We chose Khan from the south, Gujranwala from the center, and Adak from the north. The ethnographic study involved 3 different things. It included semi-structured interviews with key officials such as clerks, teachers, and department officials. Then focus group discussions with teachers, and also observations of day-to-day interactions of officials with teachers and other office members. Now, first, let me just show you the district level administration structure. At the head of the district level administration is the ADO, who has a BPS, basic pay scale of 19. Under him, we have the DEO for secondary education, DEO elementary female, and DEO elementary male. These DEOs also work at the district level. Under them, we have under the DEO elementary female and elementary male, we have the deputy DEOs who work at the TSC level. And under these, we have the AEOs who work at the workers level. And under these, we have the schools, the girls' primary, secondary, and secondary school under the DEO female, and the boys' primary and secondary schools under DEO male. The office structure is such that the EDO and the DEO is at the head, and the EDO and DEO often have personal assistants who work with them in their offices, and under them they have 3 different branches in the office. They have the education branch, the administration branch, and finance and accounts branch. All these branches have various clerks working within them. This is the basic structure of the district level office. Now, these stakeholders have a nexus between them, which creates a political economy of the education department. This diagram shows the political economy surrounding the interaction between these stakeholders. As you can see, even though the EDO is at the head of the district level office, the clerks and the personal assistants also wield a lot of power. This power comes from the fact that clerks and PAs stay at the same post for a long period of time, whereas the EDOs keep changing. For instance, in one district in Khan, we discovered that there had been 10 different EDOs from 2008 to 2013. So the EDOs keep changing, whereas the clerks and PAs stay at the same post for a long period of time. This fact gives clerks not only experience and power, but they also get a knowledge of the administrative matters. And they also get to know the teachers in their district. That's why the teachers mainly approach the clerks and the PAs whenever they have to get anything done. And the clerks and PAs in turn wield power over the EDO because they have influence over the EDO. So that if they want to get some policy implemented, if they want to get a teacher transferred from one district to the other, or any other such thing, they can do that through the EDO. So, but the teachers wield power over the clerks by using political ties to gain papers, and in turn, the clerks and PAs often bribe the teachers as well, or blackmail them. For instance, if the teacher wants to get a transfer done, the clerks may ask them to give them some amount of money to process their application, or to speed up the transfer process. The politicians and and the MNAs and MPAs, they exert power over the clerks directly or through or the EDO. The politicians either favor some teachers over the others or do rent-seeking activities and pressurize the EDOs and EOs to favor teachers that they want. For example, teachers who are affiliated to the party, or they know that these teachers would be good for their voting bank. Hence, this is the political economy that affects policy implementation and often hinders policy implementation due to, as you can see, all the nepotism and bribing that goes on within the department. Apart from the political economy factors surrounding the education department, we also discover a lot of policy-related factors that affect implementation and teacher-related outcomes. We discover a lot of things about what teachers think about the policies that are being implemented and the design of those policies. In terms of recruitment, the main debate that we saw was between decentralization and centralization, which basically means whether the teachers should be hired at the strength level or provincial level, or the hiring of teachers should be done at a decentralized level, school-based hiring or tertiary level hiring. A lot of arguments were given for decentralization. For instance, teachers were of the opinion that as headmasters of schools are at a better position to know what their schools require, they may know more about what kind of teachers they want to hire and what type of teachers their school needs. Hence, they are given the power to decide the allocation of teachers and recruitment of teachers. It might be good for their schools. And secondly, if recruitment is decentralized, teachers may apply for schools which are nearer to where they live. And this will reduce the number of transfers. As Dr. Nazar also mentioned, there are a lot of transfers occur because teachers live far from they're posted, and hence they want to transfer to a school which is near to where they live. However, there are also some disadvantages of decentralization. For instance, decentralized recruitment may lead to local capture, because local governments are more prone to be affected by political interests than national governments. At the national level, there are various parties who have different incentives, and these incentives often clash, so the political pressure might not be felt at the education department level. But at the local level, it's easier to be affected by political pressure. And also, the pool of candidates is much more restricted at the local level. For instance, it could be that as recruitment is done school-based, it could be that the high-quality teachers apply for the same post, and low-quality teachers apply for another post. Hence, both a low-quality and a high-quality teacher will be hired, and some of the high-quality teachers won't be hired because they will be competing amongst each other. And sometimes what happens is that low-quality teachers, less qualified teachers or less experienced teachers might apply for posts which are in faraway areas or in less desired posts. And then because they know there will be less competition for that post. And once they get hired for that post, then they might request a transfer to a more desired post, which would again lead to transfers and also undue vacuums created because of teachers leaving posts after being hired. The current policy that has recruitment at tertiary level, so it addresses some of the problems associated with school-based hiring, but again then tertiary because it's a large area and problems of distance to school remain. Other issues related to recruitment that we discovered were political interference at the time of recruitment. For instance, we discovered that in 2007, a number of Arabic teachers were hired, who were hired beyond the sanctioned number of posts. These excessive teachers then, once the hiring of these excessive teachers was discovered, they were dismissed, but these teachers then went to the courts and were then again reinstated. This political interference and recruitment not only led to the wastage of resources of the department, but also the wastage of time of these teachers, which could have been spent in teaching, but they spent this time in courts fighting for the case. In terms of deployment, we discovered that prior to the 2015 transfer policy, the MNAs and MPAs wielded a lot of power over which teachers got transferred and which didn't. And the department, the education officials and the teachers alike said that before the private 2013 policy, if a teacher wanted to get a transfer done, he or she had to have a written signature, written note signed by either an MNA or an MPA requesting that transfer. Now, the 2013 policy has limited this political influence and has made the process a bit more transparent. Other than that, in terms of deployment, one key concern that teachers had was that teachers do not get any financial incentive to teach in park-run areas. Now, if a teacher is made to teach in rural areas or park-run area which is far from where the teacher lives, why would that teacher go to teach in that area if he or she isn't provided either transport or some kind of financial incentive? And that's why these park-run areas often lack good quality teachers, because teachers are unwilling to go to these areas due to lack of incentive provided by the government. In terms of retention, we discovered that training methodology is a bit flawed. For instance, we observed a number of trainings as well as restricted visited, and most of the trainings focused on result-based methods rather than knowledge-based. That is, they focus on growth learning. For instance, one training we visited, they were teaching the teachers the iteration process in science. And they kept repeating the iteration process and made the teachers repeat the iteration process after them a number of times without actually explaining what the iteration process actually is and how they can actually explain the process to the student. So basically they were making the teachers learn the process rather than explaining what the process actually is. Another flaw in terms of retention and training is that the trainings provided don't help the teachers handle real class situations such as multi-grade teaching. And one concern that some teachers raised was that in the trainings, the teachers are taught to have group discussions in the classroom, and in order to have these discussions, to have their students sit in a U-shaped formation in the class. Now, the teacher's concern was that their classrooms are not big enough for the students to sit in that formation and to have that kind of discussion. So training should keep real class situations in mind when they're being provided to the teacher. In terms of deployment, in terms of monitoring, the teachers were quite unhappy about the monitoring system in place right now. What they thought was that they were being over-monitored, and this over-monitoring was acting as a demotivating factor for the teachers. The teachers are monitored by the MEAs from the DSD as well as AEOs from the district level officers. Now the teachers say that not only does this excessive monitoring hinder the teaching process, but also sometimes these monitoring officials ask for bribes and ask for money in order to mark the attendance of these teachers. Hence, the excessive monitoring increases the number of people the teachers have to please in order to get their job done and restrict their teaching ability. Further, they also said the teachers were also of the view that their career paths are unclear. This is mainly because the promotion policies are a bit flawed. What the teachers said was that promotion is basically based on PERs, which is the Performance Evaluation Report. Now, the teachers said that in order to get a good PER, they need to have connections with the department, either with political connections or with the department officials. And if a teacher has such a connection, or if a teacher is right, then a good PER is written and the teacher will get promoted. Otherwise, a good PER is not written. Another thought that in the promotion policy that the department officials indicated was that the promotion is based on the latest 3 years PER. So what teachers do is that they start for the initial tenure, and in the last 3 years they start working hard so that a good PER is written. So the department officials were of the view that this acts as a disincentive